JHK here for My MMA News, and join me right now is the man that blew out the doors off of one championship, the one championship featherweight king, Ton Lee. Thank you, Ton, for the time, man. How's life treating you, man, right now? You are where right now? Are you in Louisiana or are you in Virginia?
I am. I'm in New Orleans, Louisiana, and yeah, just training every day and trying to get better and trying to let this finger heal up and yeah, ready to get back at it as soon as I physically can.
Now, the finger, like, when did that injury happen?
During the fight, during the
Okay,
fight.
still
So
still bothering you.
yes, I've had 3 surgeries on this finger.
Wow.
Um, so I had a pylon fracture on the my index finger, and they tried a couple of things. Obviously, the first surgery didn't get the mobility back like we wanted. The second one didn't either, so I ended up replacing the joint, um, which we could have jumped to that immediately, but we wanted to make sure we were ideally trying to do the first couple surgeries and making recovery time as short as possible, but it ended up being a pretty long one.
Did the injury happen more before the fight, or was it something that in the exchanges during the fight?
Yeah, I think it was the first punch of the fight. I
Wow.
whatever one where I did a feint with my front leg and like dropped into a front hand lead hook. I'm pretty sure I hit him with that front knuckle, and I hit him on the forehead. I hit him. That was probably the hardest fight punch of the fight,
Mhm.
and besides the last two. And yeah, he took it on the forehead like a champ, but it destroyed the finger. So yeah, he definitely made me feel it.
Wow, wow, man, that's incredible. I didn't even know that because I remember talking to you after the fight. You didn't mention anything about your finger.
Well, really, like I thought my index knuckle, like that main
Mhm.
knuckle you hit with, was injured, but they did X-rays and everything, and they couldn't see anything. So I thought I was fine.
Mhm.
Um, regular fight soreness or whatever, and little things bothering you. As long as the X-rays came back clear, I didn't think I had a big deal, issue.
Mhm.
But yeah, I came back to the States. Um, just wasn't feeling right.
Mhm.
Obviously, did some more X-rays. I think maybe a week and a half later, 2 weeks, something like that. Still couldn't see anything. So they said it was soft tissue damage, and basically I waited 5, 6 more weeks after that, and it's fully healed by then. Whether it was broke, when even if it was broken, bones heal in that time. And then I went to a hand specialist because it still wasn't right, and I still couldn't move it. And yeah, I needed surgery. 3 of them looks like.
Damn, man, that's a terrible situation. But man, it seems like you're coming back. Like, what's the timeline for the hand?
Hopefully, so I'm getting much better mobility in it now.
Mhm.
I started hitting about a few weeks ago. I can't remember when exactly, but definitely one of the happier days I've ever experienced. I didn't hit anything for like I think it was like 6 months, and I ended up hitting, and man, that felt good. So at least I can put my hand in boxing gloves and hit. I'm still not right as far as being able to put my hand in an MMA glove and making a fist and closing that completely. So the mobility's still an issue. We're working on that every day. I do my PT like a million times a day, just trying to rush the process. Like obviously following doctor's orders, but trying to get it back as quickly as possible. So I'd say 2 to 3 more months. I'm just
Mhm.
throwing out numbers.
Mhm.
Nothing solid, obviously, nothing scheduled yet, but that's kind of what we're hoping for.
Yeah, let's rewind a little bit, man. The run that you have been on has been nothing less than spectacular, man. 4 fights, highlight reel knockouts. Not even just knockouts, they're highlight reel knockouts. And then now you got that gold around your waist, man. Put into words like what this roller coaster ride has been like for you since signing in 2019.
It's been crazy because I signed off of a loss. I had that LFA fight, ended up losing to Kevin Aguilar, um, and that taught me a ton of things. We've spoke about this before. I just wasn't in the right place for that fight, and that's really honestly the best thing that's ever happened to me is going through that and learning from it and becoming the martial artist I am now based off of the bumps in the road. And yeah, the fights they've worked out really good, man. We try to prepare as diligently and as thoroughly as possible. And I'm happy that the last 4 fights have gone my way. They could have things could have easily been a twist here, a twist there, and something else happens. So that's why we're trying to be as safe as possible in the fight game, trying to make sure that we're doing the right things every day to at least put ourselves in the best chance, the best possible place to get some W's. And it's worked out well. I've got a lot of help from a lot of good guys around me. So having them pushing me in the right direction is always a great thing. But yeah, I mean, really killer after killer. First fight, striker versus grappler situation with Yusuf, ended up getting that knockout. But I mean, he's on his way for a bantamweight title shot, I'm pretty sure. Who was next? Boku. He held the belt for a little bit. Then we had Ryogo, who was the Shudo champion, and dangerous dude who's had some nice little knockouts since then. And then, of course, Martin. So that's it's been all killers, and definitely ain't getting any easy fights, and that's the way I prefer it.
A lot of it is proving a lot of people, wrong, because a lot of people thought Martin was the guy that was just going to be reigning for a long time, and you just went in there and took that belt, and it was an incredible fight, man. Like, I love the fight, and a lot of people want the rematch, but it seems like Martin, he's moving forward. He was supposed to fight Kim, and then that fight got canceled twice because of some weird Did you hear the story about that?
A little bit. Apparently, it was he was sitting next to somebody who was positive for COVID, right? And I know that's why Singapore's doing so well, I think, numbers-wise, as far as cases go, but that's very unfortunate, man. I really feel for the man. I know he wanted to get back in there quick and get some momentum and maybe work his way back up to the title. I'm obviously still open to give him a rematch. The fight was awesome. I know the fans loved it. It wasn't an easy fight by any means, and I mean, he was a great champion. He's been a champ for a long time, so I mean, I think he's earned it. But we'll see what kind of plays out.
Well, rumors is that Kim and Martin, they're gonna fight later this year in the fall, I believe, maybe around October or something like that. I feel like one championship is gonna return. Let me get your breakdown of that fight, man, because those are two incredible strikers, power strikers, just like yourself. Who do you think has the edge in this one?
Man, obviously I've only been in the ring with one of them, so I've got to give Martin the edge. I mean, he did such a great job. He's a tough dude. His defense is really nice. His counter striking is really nice, and then when he decides to put the pressure on, he does a good job, a pretty good job of staying safe. Obviously, I slipped inside on one of those punches, which happened to start the kind of the downhill. But just being in front of him and feeling his movement and his pressure and the way, like he could have taken the easy way out 2, 3, 4 times in that fight, and he didn't, and he put his head down, and he was doing what champs should do. You know what I mean? And he's got a fan in me. I watch every one of his fights. I'll tell you that.
Once that got booked, right, and everybody was speculating about who you're fighting next, and then, of course, obviously, Garry Tonon's name comes up, and he hasn't competed in a while, so they were thinking that you're going to fight him, but that never materialized. Was that ever discussed with you?
Not in detail, no. I know, like, names have been thrown around, and, we've got a stacked division. Obviously, Martin was at the top of that rankings, but it's been nice to be able to see like all the potential dangerous guys to fight. Like we've talked before, that's what motivates me. That's what wakes me up every morning in camp. That's what puts me in the gym and makes me want to fight these tough dudes. And I'd like to see kind of where we're going with that. We've talked before a little bit about like Garry. I think he's 5 fights, all with 1 championship, and then the only guy that hasn't been close to a 500 record was, Matsushima, and he did a great job there. It's just, I didn't have a ton of fights in the top 5 either, but everybody they put in front of me that had title contending options, had the belt, or, was coming from another organization that had a belt, I finished those guys. And like you said, they were good finishes, and they were statement wins. And I think I'd like to see a little more of that. And then definitely I'm always open, especially Garry, because he's a dangerous dude. So I definitely want to fight him whether I have the belt or not. It's just a matter of when and making those stars align and him kind of earning that spot for the title shot.
And speaking of, ground specialists, Ryan Hall's coming back. A guy that you're very familiar with, trained with a lot. And man, I'm so excited because I spoke with him a couple months ago when he was trying to angle a fight with the Korean Zombie. It just didn't work out too well. And he's got this opponent, and a lot of fights have been canceled. Have you been involved in his camp? And how is he looking?
I'll tell you what, without revealing too much, obviously, we work pretty closely together, and we train together all the time. And it's awesome to watch that man work. I'll tell you what, he's different than anybody I've ever trained with or met or anything like that. It's not only in the martial arts world, but just in the world in general, and his personality and his knowledge, and he's an interesting character, really good friend, great training partner, obviously. But yeah, he's been working on some things, and I'm just ready for him to get in there and show it, and it's gonna be nasty. I tell you what, he's, like I said, he's been doing some interesting things, and I think everybody's in for a big show. If y'all don't know when the fight is, it's July 10th. Go check it out. It's gonna be some fireworks, and it's just gonna be a martial arts spectacle. I'll tell you that.
Well, a lot of people are gonna focus on him and his ground game, and we already know he's spectacular there. I'm worried. I'm not worried. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do on the feet, because he works with you, man, all the time. So it's like he must be adding some spectacular moves.
He's showed it fight after fight. I know he doesn't fight a ton, but going from the Maynard fight to the BJ fight to Elkins, I think was next, and you can just see the jumps in striking capability, reads, movement. I mean, he's learning so quick. It's ridiculous, man. One of the hardest working dudes I've ever met in my life. I try to be in the gym as much as this dude is. It's insane, and it's not a surprise that he's getting so good and learning the striking things that I'm trying to help him with if I can. He's such a smart dude that he picks it up so quick, and he's so dedicated that it comes out quicker than it should. He's learning it quicker than he should, and it's awesome to see.
Yeah, one of the perks of this job that I have is that I get to speak with all the fighters, right? And another guy that I spoke with and talked to him about you is Cory Sandhagen, man, because he visits Ryan Hall's gym, and he's got a big fight coming up. And he talked about your striking and how you've helped him, sparring wise. Talk about sparring Cory Sandhagen, man, because the dude, he also another guy has been developing well in his striking too.
Yeah, absolutely. Cory's he's got a unique game. It's different than it feels different than it looks. Let's say that. Him in front of you is his off rhythms, his movement, the way he stays safe, and then he's constantly there in your face, but very hard to hit. It's a weird mixture he's got going on, and he does a really good job with opening up his entries, open up his big shots. So I think we're in for a big show against TJ. We've all seen what these two guys can do on a big stage, and it's really cool to see Cory develop. Obviously, if I can help him in any way, I try to as much as possible. You know what I mean? He's a phenomenal striker in his own right, like doing his thing, and it's awesome to watch. But yeah, training with him is great. I'm learning, he's learning, like we're all learning as a group, and it's really cool to be around guys that have the right attitude, that don't have like this crazy gym ego. It's really like, we know what the main goal is. We're trying to get to the belt or win the belt or keep the belt, depending on which one of us is talking. But that's the goal, and that's the goal you keep in mind. So everything is in concert for that. It's in working in the same direction, and it's cool to be in a room with high level martial artists that are some of the best in the world, man. And it's cool, obviously, to be there, but it's going to be really exciting to watch these guys show it on the stage.
There are no easy days when you go train with those guys.
Hell, yeah, definitely not. When you train with those guys, you come back. I'm back here in New Orleans training with my guys, man. It's
good balance.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
All right, now Chatri, man, he's been throwing around this idea of one championship versus UFC co-promotion, man. I like the idea. I think if they could put it together, put it together. Most likely UFC won't do it, but hey, you never know in this world, champion versus champion. And I look at it and say, okay, Ton Lee, he might face either Alex Volkanovski or Charles Oliveira. Like, if you had a choice, what's more intriguing? What's more interesting to you, the matchup?
So my eyes have always been on the featherweight division, just because that's the ever since I started cutting to 45. So my heart's there because I'm a featherweight at heart. You know what I mean? And that's what if I were to make the transition, like these guys that cut to 55, I step in the ring at that weight, so it's a big difference. You know what I mean? And I enjoy this style much better, not cutting and not dehydrating myself all the way down to 45. But I am a true 45er. I might be a little bigger than the 45ers, but I'm a true 45er, so I don't cut a ton of weight, and I'm not barely making weight or anything. I make it easy, so it's I see myself at 45. So when I look at both stacks of opponents, I always look at the featherweight division first, and that's where I've been staring at for years. So it's always cool to see that kind of switch, and the rankings change, and the guys climb and the guys fall. But I'm in love with the featherweight division, and that's my home. And obviously Volkanovski and all of the fights that he's had with Holloway, and going through all the champs there, it's been cool to watch, obviously from home. But as a competitor, you sitting there licking your chops. Like I want a chance to compete with these guys because they're high level martial artists, and we've talked about this before. That's why I'm in this game. That's why I do this, is to fight the best. And it's so motivating that even talks are out there. But we've got to make this happen as an MMA community. We've got to be able to not just keep these guys in their own promotions, but be able to go cross promotion to really see who the best featherweight is, who the best lightweight is, who the best welterweight, like over and over and over again. The fans deserve it. We deserve it. Y'all deserve it. Everybody deserves to know. And I'd like a chance to prove that what I think, and I think I'm the best. So I'd like a chance to prove that against these guys that are super dangerous and really motivating.
Yeah, definitely, man. When you look at Alex Volkanovski's style, it has kind of somewhat transformed over the last couple of fights. What can you point to, man? Like when you see it as like someone that analyzes the sport that has been, something that has allowed him to be successful.
He does a really good job he knows his anatomy. He knows his strong suits and his attributes as a fighter. So he uses that in his favor. He's a powerful, compact guy for the division. He's not like one of the long, lanky, rangy guys. So, but he's fighting guys that like to do that, like his fights against Holloway. The rangy, long, straight shots, trying to keep him out, and then obviously as he dips his head, Holloway's trying to come up the middle, doing all these adjustments, and just to see both of those guys kind of adjust based on one another is really cool, because he's a shorter guy, but he's got some arms on him. He's got long reach, so he uses his shifting shots to cover a lot of ground. He brings some power with it, and he mixes it up well with all of his different threats, and then his forward motion, and then he can counterfight the hell out of you too. So it's really interesting to look at all his like XP points, really, to see like where he stacked those in his training, and where he hangs his hat as far as his durability, as far as his cardio, as far as his his right hand, left hand power. It's awesome to I've been game planning for him ever since he took the belt, because that's just what you do as a fighter. And you always see yourself fighting the best guy. So you look at him and you're like, man, this guy's good, this guy's good, this guy's good, and you're running through game plan options in your head and trying to see how you would approach it. And if Holloway did this thing, what would I do, and that kind of stuff. So that's always running through your head. But obviously if talks get a little more in depth and a little more serious, then man, we pen and paper, and we're doing some late night studying, and we've taken a look at him, we've taken a look at Pitbull, like all these guys, and it's awesome to even entertain the idea, you know what I mean? But this stuff has to happen. It has to happen, and I believe we'll make it happen before I'm out this game.
I don't know why One Championship doesn't have you analyzing fight cards, man. Like, you do so well, man. And just listening to you talk about just Volkanovski, I could have just only imagined what you have for the top 5 in your division, what your breakdowns are. One Championship, if you're listening to this, you need to hire this man and make him do little clips, you know what I mean, on like Instagram or something, man. It's great. Now, you said, you have your timeline is like like 2 months, 3 months or whatever, your finger will heal. Of course, you got to get into camp and everything. So maybe at the earliest at the end of the year, like December or something like that, could be a possibility for you.
Yeah, I definitely love to try to get in there a little sooner, but yeah, definitely this year. I've got to get a fight in this year. I have to. So that's what we're aiming for.
If you could predict, do you think your next fight will be Martin, Kim, or Tonon? Or could we see you jump up and fight Christian? Because I asked Christian yesterday about him dropping down to featherweight, and he said, man, I'm too big now, man. I can't go down. I can't, I'll lose too much muscle.
Down to featherweight. I'll go up to lightweight. That's no problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Christian's awesome. Super nice guy. But definitely, all right, so we're gonna, I guess, wish this into existence. De Ridder just did the double champ thing, so we'll say Christian.
Okay.
We'll see how it plays out.
All right. Sounds good, man. Sounds good, man. I appreciate you for the time, man. And yeah, man, good luck on the recovery. Get that finger healed up, and man, I can't wait to see what the future holds for you, man. It's gonna be incredible.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.